This is Chris Hansen.
This is TJ Hushmanzada.
Chad doing Rip City Radio here.
This is Jamie Hudson.
And I need to let y'all know something. You're listening to.
And you're listening to.
It just makes sense.
This just makes sense.
It just makes sense.
Woo! Way better than Chris Hansen.
Yeah, seriously.
Some people do this for the love of the game. I think that we just do this so that we can drink on weekdays.
Every day is a day of reckoning? What? Because of a 30-yard pass for a first down, Gus? And he looks me up and down. He goes, "You're hella vaccinated up, aren't you?"
You know what else is rude? Both of you talking about how you went through a fat phase, and I don't know when I'm going to get out of it.
We're 30 years into this.
Yeah, maybe I'm just not applying myself, huh?
The show about conspiracy theories made by former lovers.
They make you want to scream. It just makes sense.
It makes me want to scream, fix your audio. You're on episode 95. Get a mixer.
That's a teaser for season 3. That's the energy we're bringing.
Sportsmanship is way overrated. Winning is what's rated.
Miguel and I decided that this is going to be a great episode.
Good.
One of the best.
As opposed to just walking in here and wanting to sabotage it, make me feel like I am culturally insensitive.
Peter, you did that shit to yourself.
I did do that to
What are you
myself.
talking about?
Yeah. You know, it's probably better that you did not. Oh my gosh. Okay, that's him.
Hear that wind outside? It's real windy.
It's good that you didn't win the Powerball.
Me?
Yeah.
Why?
Because of all of the hypotheticals that you put people through. You were going to make the world your own, like, Hunger Games. And
But
you were going
how
to
is-
bait people into...
How is that not viewed as a positive? Now there's a chance, there's a financial backer for this shit. And it's no longer just a topic of conversation. Now you can actually make money.
It's like your own Squid Games.
Yeah. But none of it
With no intention of murdering us. I suppose.
none of the hypotheticals puts anyone at risk. It's like, oh, would you film a sex tape and you'll get $100,000?
I think definitely.
You can just ask me if you want to watch me have sex. I mean, that's all you need to do.
And there's definitely some that put people at risk.
Like what? Come up with an example right now. Right.
You have
this second.
so many hypotheticals.
None of them puts my friends at risk. Like the worst one is like you have to be in a fucking dungeon for 5 years.
Miguel, the fact
with dungeon.
The fact that you're saying, "Oh, the worst one," don't act like you haven't said like, "Oh, you have to eat this person's shit once a day for X amount of years," or you can
anything shit or vomit related was like a one-shot type deal.
I love how you're so confident, as if you can recall every single hypothetical.
I have
you trying
the
to
same
murder us.
hypotheticals that you guys have gotten. I've asked to a bunch of different people.
But you've been doing it for years. To say that you can remember all of them, and also the type of person you are and the type of mind that you have, to say that you would never consider making somebody in a hypothetical scenario eat shit more than once is an absurd claim.
Okay, so if I offered you $1 million, you have to eat a glass full of Peter's poop, like that glass where you have beer, full.
Right,
$1 million.
so it would be an episode of Two Girls,
like,
One Cup.
or like you have to eat pus, or you have to eat.
Yeah, you do talking about back cheese.
Yeah, back.
You've
cheese.
drank piss for $20, dude.
That is true.
So that's how you know that
those
I
are
was
the
probably right.
standards there. I've tried to be on the other side of this, where I am the one creating the hypotheticals.
It's not as easy as you think.
It's not easy whatsoever. It's very difficult to be
Not everyone is gifted.
in the mind of Juan Magoo. So for that, I appreciate your ability, and I'm sorry that you won't be able to put your talents to
I would have
the
given
world.
away 40% of that money for all of that entertainment.
for that.
And everyone would be
entertainment.
rich.
Lindsay and I were talking about like philanthropic things that we could do, and you're like, how much shit could I make people eat?
Imagine.
Turns out probably a lot when money's involved.
Like, if I had $1 billion, I would just carry wads of fucking hundreds, and I would just put 10 grand out and like sniff my fart out of a mason jar. 10 G's.
I mean,
the easiest money you'll make.
Okay, well, I do like the ones where people say, "Hey, would you like $5,000, or do you want to double it and give it to the next person?"
To pay it forward.
Yeah, and then some.
That's a
people
Mr. Beast bullshit.
It is, and then he goes, "Oh, so you're so nice for wanting to pass on," and then he will give that person then like $20,000 or something. So, but no, I have not been. It would feel weird. I would still feel weird about like a panhandler coming up to me and being like, "Hey, can I have $20?"
Are you saying Pam or panhandler?
Pan.
Should we introduce the punishment before we keep going?
No, or unless like you guys think that that's the thing.
think we
I
should.
am this week's loser.
We
Welcome to It Just Makes Sense, presented by Boneyard Burr. It's right there. It's not placed on his.
Look at this.
Stomach.
I mean, I'm promoting
product
everywhere here.
placement and a half.
What do you call this arm?
Drinking arm.
I dabbed for you.
And of course, we can never forget about our friend at Scrimmage.
Yes.
Download the app. Use our link. Tell them we sent you.
Lit. Froyo. On God.
Yep.
All right, Pete.
So so I am this week's loser. It's been a while, and it was
Okay. What a cocky. You know what? We're going to triple down.
I was kind of happy I didn't have to come up with the punishment. It usually does come to my. You have like the hypothetical brain. I have the punishment brain, and I didn't have to come up with that this week. So there you go.
The punishment brain. Where you
punishment
go
brain.
all out with.
Are we
making
actually
us throw
introducing
up.
the punishment early?
Yeah,
why
you have
not?
you have a.
It's up to you. I don't know what the
Why not,
punishment
Pete?
is. It
Why not?
I mean, it
Pete?
usually follows towards the end, but we have.
Well,
You
we
have
have
to
a
where-
little something.
You have a twofer, a double
Okay.
punishment
Okay,
tonight.
that doesn't really make sense considering I'm not a double loser, but I will accept it.
Well,
No,
it's
it's
not
just-
really. This really isn't a punishment. We just got you something that we think will fit you a little bit better because we do have YouTube now. We have this very nice camera, and we just thought this is probably a better look for you for this episode.
Okay.
The real punishment will come at the end of the episode.
Yeah, no.
You'll have to do
honestly,
something.
this
It
isn't a
fits me
punishment.
better, huh?
This isn't
Yeah.
a punishment. This is honestly an upgrade. It's probably more fitting to your personality.
You will just have to wear this throughout the whole episode.
Okay.
And then your real punishment will come. Because honestly, I think you'll like this too.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it.
You'll have to wear the Skip Bayless mask.
The whole time.
Hold on. Before I give it to you, I just want to give a quick shout out. Because the one person who's as much a part of this pod outside of the three
Is
hosts,
your girlfriend.
Ashley has done a lot for the podcast, and she's been getting weird questions. She's like, "Why are you cutting a box? Why are you printing weird faces?" And her answer has always been for love, because she has helped out a lot, and she made that with Lindsay's help.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Okay.
Lindsay, cut the eyes.
Well, let's see how this sounds, because if anything, we might also have to cut out the mouth so you guys can hear me a little bit.
We've thought about that.
Hold on.
Just don't rip it.
Okay, I guess I'll just not wear glasses either.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
You don't need to cut out the mouth.
I have very...
Look at me.
very
That's good.
limited vision.
Good.
You don't need to see.
I guess I don't. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, your audio is just fine.
Are you sure?
Welcome, Skip.
Thanks, guys.
Hey. So we have a special guest on this week's episode.
Eat me.
Skip Bayless.
Bite me.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear you talk about LeBron James.
LeBron James.
It's
This
perfect.
is so weird. Okay, I have to find the right balance here. Because it has to like come underneath.
Oh,
so
it's
they
got to
can
come
hear me.
under. It's got to come under you.
Come under. There we go. That works.
Yeah,
And I
it's
just won't
almost
touch
like you're sending the voice
Straight
waves
down.
into the cardboard,
Skip
which
approves.
ricochets
Skip
down.
approves. Stop looking down.
Well, I have to see the computer screen. I have to manage this darn thing. So,
Do you?
well, it's already off the rails at this point. So.
Beautiful.
Oh God. Okay.
Anything that Peter doesn't expect just sends this whole thing
off
the rails.
We don't know where to go now. Does Skip wear glasses?
No.
No, maybe today he does.
Nope.
He does wear glasses sometimes, though.
Oh, he does. He does. You're right.
He does those things on social media where he goes, and he gets really angry. Have you guys seen those videos?
I have.
Where
It turns me on.
Does
That's
it?
actually how I masturbate
Love the heavy
most of
breathing.
the time.
So then,
Is
can
to
I like
skip
hold it up
Bayless.
sometimes to drink?
No, you got to drink through his mouth.
The nose pressure is
He likes gin and
Palpable.
tonics.
You have to drink through the eye sockets. Oh, goodness. Well, if you're listening to this on podcast right now, here's a great reason to go and subscribe to our YouTube. You can see Peter looking like a goddamn fool.
yeah. For the next however hour and change that we're going to be doing this.
It's probably going to take longer because he's the person who usually runs this podcast.
Navigates the whole
and he can't see a thing. So
Yeah, I have very limited vision here, so but we'll navigate through.
Now you know what it's like to be me.
well, me and Miguel can take over if you'd
Yeah.
like. Miguel, how are you?
I don't know where to go from here.
somehow.
That question derailed me.
How are you? How are you?
What do
really?
you mean, me?
What do you mean?
Me? How am I?
Who am I?
Who am I? Well, we're not $1 billion winners. The winner actually was
Was a scam.
well, yeah, it was a scam because all of a sudden they have like these security issues and all of that, and then California's like, it wasn't us. We're not the security issue ones. And then they were like, there's no winner. And then they're like, oh, sorry, actually there was a winner. It's in Pasadena of all places.
They don't need that money.
Yeah, that's
They don't need that money.
No, they don't. Hell no. Skip.
Look at Skip. Look at Skip.
Skip. I gotta be honest. It's
This
a little
might be
creepy.
harder for you guys.
It's a
yeah.
little creepy.
The eyes being cut out, it makes it
You wanna
look
be-
terrifying.
Yeah, you want to be Shannon Sharp?
No, I can't impersonate Shannon Sharp.
He's very animated
I'm
as
not
well.
that loud.
Yeah. So it is a bit, like right there where, like in Pasadena, 2 miles away from the Rose Bowl. So
We've been there.
Yes, and actually, the guy who sold the winning ticket.
Go ahead. It's hard. I can focus. It's
Yeah, go
fine.
ahead.
The
It's
guy
fine.
who sold the winning ticket is actually the father-in-law of a former defensive tackle from the Bengals.
So these people did not need the money.
Well, the
No, the guy who sold
the guy who
ticket.
sold it, the guy who
Oh.
sold the ticket had the little convenience store.
So it really just has no relevance whatsoever.
But that
Just
guy-
kind of a fun little thing.
Well, that guy gets $1 million for selling the winning ticket. Did you know that?
What?
Yeah, about it.
You know, in horror movies that involve killers that have masks, like
This
I
is
just
like The Strangers.
I just recently watched Black Phone,
Okay,
which
I've not
is
seen that.
kind of a thriller. But anyways, you know when you can always see kind of the faint glow of the eye behind the mask that gives this, lifeless face some life to it? I can just see the glow of the light in Peter's right eye, and it is terrifying. It is terrifying.
God,
will say.
I have no idea if this is going to sound good, but
It sounds good in the
doesn't
headphones.
sound any
sounds normal.
different.
All right.
It
Yeah.
doesn't. But to your point, I had no idea that they got $1 million.
yeah,
It's
that's
big
pretty
for
cool.
it's big for the store.
I think that the person who sells it gets $1 million, and the store itself, like the owner, gets $1 million, or maybe that's.
So you're
maybe I'm
telling me
conflating it.
with if I'm an employer and I just hired this guy part-time at minimum wage and he sells the winning ticket, he gets $1 million.
He gets $1 million for selling it. Correct. Yeah. How about it?
Damn.
Yeah, good for him. Good for him.
That's so lucky.
Yeah. Do you know how many rotisserie chickens you could buy with almost $2 billion? I didn't do the
$5 a
math,
pop?
but it's probably a lot. Yeah. So, talking about
$20 million.
200 million, right?
200 million.
200 million.
200 million. There you go. Well, there was a man who ate 40 rotisserie chickens one a day.
1.9? That's almost 400 million.
Is that? Yeah. There you
I
go.
would, if I had that many rotisserie chickens, I would just eat the skin. I would only eat the skin.
Yeah. Well, there was a guy who started to eat, for whatever reason, started eating a rotisserie chicken a day as like a gimmick. And then by the end of it, he's a guy in Philly. By the end of it, hundreds of people came out to watch him eat on the 40th day. It was ahead of a World Series game, I think. They were behind a Walmart super center, and these people cheered him on while he was live eating a rotisserie
Was that
chicken.
the only thing he was eating?
Yeah.
So one rotisserie chicken a day was his diet for 40 days?
Yeah, and he says he doesn't even like chicken. I don't get it.
Well, and I don't know if you saw like the footage from him eating that fourth chicken, but he looked like I don't think it would be that hard personally to eat a rotisserie chicken, but he was like foaming,
struggling
at the mouth, and like having like a guttural experience. It's
Foaming like he was starving and he was mowing down on the chicken, or like he was having some issues.
I don't know.
I just think he was kind of tired of it at that point.
Yeah.
He put up these signs that says, "Come watch me eat an entire rotisserie chicken on November 6th. Will be the 40th consecutive day that I've eaten an entire rotisserie." Mask is hitting this damn thing. And so, yeah, they rolled out a literal red carpet for him. And this is the picture of all of these people. He doesn't know these people. Look at that.
Why is it a big thing?
It just kind of like
Because
had
the
a
internet,
cult following.
man.
Yeah. It just had kind of a...
Like, I could go viral. I could eat 2 a day.
Then do it.
Yeah. Then, you know what? Do the first one at our live show coming up on November 29th at Jimmy's Sports Bar.
No, I'm not copying this guy.
That is, a great point, Peter. Whether or not he eats that chicken, everybody should come to Jimmy's Sports
Exactly.
Bar on November 29th at 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
to watch our 100th episode
100 episodes.
live.
Oh, my God. So our plan is, it's from 6 to 7 on November 29th. That's a Tuesday.
Yes, it is.
Tuesday.
The Tuesday following Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Once you get off of work, come on down. There's going to be drink specials. There's going to be food. It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, drink specials. We're going to even have a live punishment at Jimmy's.
This is the first I'm hearing of it,
Yeah,
folks.
yeah, I
But
know.
it will happen.
Live punishment.
Get there early, grab a seat, grab a drink, grab some
it has
food.
to happen.
There's going to be merch. There's going to be fun. The Blazers play right afterwards, so stay for the game.
Exactly.
Hang out with us.
Yeah, if
let's
you
get
wanna-
let's
if you
get
want-
turned on a Tuesday.
Jason
wanna-
Lyons is going to bring shrimp cocktail.
What?
2 Jimmy's? Is that even allowed?
I told him the only way he could show up
Is
to the
put it
live
in
show
his
is
pocket?
If he brings a Costco package of
shrimp cocktail and maybe some fish and chips.
Is Tim going to be okay with
You
it?
know what? I think we'll allow it.
Yeah.
Bring your own shrimp cocktail?
And
Just
if
for
he
Jason Lyons.
if he does, a segment of the live show will be how many shrimp can Jason Lyons fit in his mouth.
Yes.
Perfect.
So
I'll give
be
him a
there.
heads
It's a
up.
condition.
November 29th, Tuesday after Thanksgiving, 6 p.m., Jimmy's Sports Bar in Multnomah Village. Be there or be square.
We'll put the address and the times and details into our YouTube link as well as the podcast link as well. So
Be there.
November 29th, we will
Did you
continue
hear
to
him?
remind you. 6 to 7, hang out for the
Be there.
Blazer game afterwards. So
Skip, tell him to be there. Just say be there.
be there.
Skip!
Doesn't he get really infectious?
What you got to do is you got to take your shoes off, or excuse me, your shirt off, and put some Jordan 1s on and take a
He
picture.
usually puts on he's got chains and
Yeah.
he's iced out
Yeah,
and
yeah,
everything
yeah.
too. So I don't have a lot outside of non-sports related.
That's why we got the mask ready, because now we get to talk sports and you get to go in your skip mode.
Well, I did have something.
You're back from Utah. I don't know how much you want to talk about that, but
I'll tell you everything.
Everything.
Yeah, supposedly Peter had no idea that I was going to Utah.
That's not true.
Despite the fact that you probably told me multiple times.
I think we talked about it on this podcast.
Yeah.
We
Before
texted
and
about
after.
it. I mean,
one ear and out the other.
Yeah, Peter just doesn't care about me.
You don't listen.
I care about. I bought you Powerball tickets.
Yeah, after I begged you.
Like you mansplained how it was to actually buy Powerball tickets, as if I've never.
Yeah, you
bought
got to
Powerball.
stop.
Well, a
mansplaining
part
things.
of the text conversation, it seemed that you didn't know what I was asking for.
It's because you mansplain things. You got to stop doing that.
Okay.
Where is it? Let's read the text conversation here.
Ooh, he's gonna out you. Here's what
He says,
Skip
"Hey,
does.
are you going to grab some Powerball tickets?" I said, "Yeah, why?" He said, "I'm not sure if I can get them in Utah. Would you mind grabbing 5 for me?" I said, "Yeah, I can. I'm taking a fee if you win." I said, 5 all-in-one ticket or 5 separate tickets. That, to me, shows actually a sign that I know exactly what I'm talking about.
That's fair.
And you said 5 separate tickets. They should be $2 each.
He knew what he was talking about.
Yeah, the only if you
It's
look,
really not that controversial when you read it back.
Yeah, I don't think it's because the reason I said $2 on each is because you didn't put dollar signs or anything, so I didn't know if you meant $5 all on one ticket.
Oh.
Like I didn't know if there was an option to put more or something like that. So that's why I wanted to be specific: 5 separate ticks,
Right.
$2 each.
Also, can you not get lottery tickets in Utah?
No.
There's only 40. It's not a nationwide thing. There's only 45 states that do the Powerball.
Utah.
I know.
They ain't about it. Anyways, thanks for reading out that out loud because
That
it sounds
very
like a very, very normal
very boring conversation.
request.
One thing that I did realize about that after the fact is that, like, I was like, oh, and this was after we had already lost. I was like, what if we had won, and then I couldn't convince him if my ticket was the winning one?
Well, I was hoping that you would just send me pictures.
Pictures, right. And then afterwards, Lindsay and I were talking about it. She was like, oh, yeah, you should have sent them pictures. And I did not do that. So
Oh, that could have been a mess.
it could have been really messy because
What would you have done?
Oh, I would have motherfucked you real bad. No.
No, you wouldn't. You don't
No,
have
I
that.
wouldn't.
You don't
I would
have that
not.
in you.
No.
Would we split it?
At that point, probably. Yeah.
I'll tell you exactly what would happen. He doesn't have it in him to motherfuck you if you had the winning ticket, and he also doesn't have it in him to demand splitting it. So what Peter would do is he would leave it up to you. But I'll tell you what, if you decide not to split it, he would be fucking hurt. And
Well, I would, but I would, if that was the position we were in where he bought it, I would be like thankful if he would be willing to split it. Because I realized that he would be in a position to motherfuck me. I'm the one I have the
would
low
you
ground.
then demand more than half?
No, I wouldn't. But it would have been a very precarious situation to be in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I should have taken the photo.
I definitely would have been, I would have had the low ground in that situation. It would have been, I would have to come into that situation being like, well, Pete, I think the fairest thing to do here is split it and hope that he just agreed. Because he could be like, sorry, dude, I bought it. You have really no connection to this. There's no proof.
That situation could have ended your friendship.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it would have, yeah.
If he would have done that.
Because Peter would Peter would be holding that ticket and he'd be like, how long have I really known Braxton for? He wasn't
even at my wedding.
Also, I think he might have had
All
a hand
that-
in
all
burning
that-
my house down.
All that philanthropic work he was gloating about just going right out the window.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I'm the one who needs the philanthropy. Anyways, Utah was great. Great to see my family. Happy birthday to my mom. It is today.
Happy birthday,
November
Moni.
8th.
Happy birthday.
She is 60, going on 35. She's doing great. I will say, I went into this situation. I don't know if I talked about this last week on the podcast or if this was just amongst us when Peter wasn't listening. But I went into it kind of nervous. I have a very, very large family. I have, there was nine siblings there with their respective partners, and then my mom, all the nieces and nephews. I think altogether there was over 40 people.
Dang.
And it was not as dramatic as I thought it was going to be. The cops only got called once.
Like actually? Like for noise? Or is that just like a casual little joke?
No, they actually got called.
I figured they might for noise or something.
No. And I don't want to tell this story as if my family gets the cops called on them often. I am joking in that sense. But the first night, there's, probably 22 nieces and nephews that range in age from 14 to like 6 months. And during the commotion of everybody arriving and, unpacking their cars and, greetings and everything, one of my nephews had wandered off.
Oh, no.
And he does have some mental disabilities, so there was some extra concern about his ability to know where he was going or how to get back. He had no way of contacting anybody. And we kind of, once we realized, we didn't know how long he had been gone. And so we kind of spread out a search. And, 30 minutes, 45 minutes had gone by. We couldn't find him. It was starting to get quite concerning. It was starting to get dark. So
it was daytime at the time.
Yeah, it was like sunset.
Yeah.
So we were losing light. And so my brother, decides, hey, we've got to call the police. This is concerning. And as soon as he hangs up the phone with the police, my sister-in-law is like, hey, I just found Colin, grab a car and come find me. I'll drop a pin. So my brother immediately calls the police back and is like, hey, sorry, false alarm. We found him. And they're like, well, you can't really call in missing kids, false alarm. Like, we got to come out and
verify well-being.
Yeah, check it out. So I had weed. I'll be honest.
No.
I had some weed
in Utah.
In Utah that I had brought over. Allegedly, I had brought over state lines. Allegedly. And
disclaimer.
We had rented 2 homes that were right next to each other. And everybody was there was like one main house that everybody was kind of gathering in. And I knew that if the police came, most likely, if they were to go into any home, it was that one. So I went over to the house that all my stuff was in, which was the other home. And I locked the doors, turned off the lights, grabbed everything that might have been illegal, and went into the darkest room upstairs where I could see out into the street.
Wow, that is like pure paranoia.
He's right.
I mean, I think there's really necessary reason for that.
Okay, sure.
Anyways.
You can't deny the paranoia, though. It's there.
Well, yeah. But again, I think it's merited when marijuana in Utah is looked at the same as methamphetamines, heroin.
I was not aware it was that serious.
Yes, it's still a Schedule 1 substance in Utah. So that's like jail time.
Jail time.
Which I'm not fond of.
Sure, talk about it as if you love it.
No, not great. But anyways, so that was really the only drama. The cops came. They talked to him outside. They went off. It was no big deal. But it was a great time. There was one moment that I want to bring up because it does kind of come back to something we brought up in the past. Like I said, it was my mother's 60th birthday. That was the reason we were gathering. And on Saturday night, we had all planned on having a celebration for her, and everybody got together, and we had, dinner. There was all this pizza. Thankfully, Jay didn't order the pizza, so there was more than enough for everybody. And we were giving gifts, and everybody was gathered, all the grandkids, and it was this wonderful moment. where, you could tell my mom, she was full of tears and happiness and love, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful moment. But it had kind of come to an end. All the gifts had been given, all the speeches had been given, and people were starting to disperse. And my brother Brigham, who has Down syndrome, he kind of stops everybody and asks if he can just do one more thing. And he said, I've been practicing for weeks. Can I just do one more performance?
Practicing?
Yes. And I'll send this to you. You don't have to play the whole thing. But out of nowhere, Brigham comes through with quite possibly the performance of a lifetime.
Did he plank for 5 hours?
No.
He just...
On another note, though, the world record for planking was just broken this week.
8 hours, right?
8 hours in like 16 minutes.
It's an old guy.
Yeah, 62 years old.
You can do it for a minute.
But so out of nowhere, Brigham, and again, he has Down syndrome. We realize he doesn't have the best voice, but for him to step up in front of this crowd
owns it, yeah.
and know all the words to this song was very impressive.
With a most calm, I harbored in me, and I will still refuse the science till you come to me. You raise me up despite mountains, you raise me up the stormy seas. I is strong alone the shoulders. You raise me up to what I can be.
Yeah.
So it was pretty impressive. Out of nowhere, he had been practicing this song, and he got up, and you could tell my mom, she was just so touched.
No one had any idea he was going to do that.
No, he had planned this on his own and practiced.
Tell those kids to be quiet.
I know. All 20 of them. Shut up.
Jesus.
But no, overall, it was a wonderful, wonderful time. And I'm glad to be back. Utah's a weird place.
Make you search for liquor stores and
after crushing a bunch of White Claws all weekend just to get the full buzz of alcohol.
Yeah.
Slamming dub claws all weekend.
Yeah, it was great. Ain't no laws when you're drinking claws.
Exactly. Unless you have...
Surprised you didn't go find Twisted
marijuana.
Teas.
Yeah. No. But yeah, it was a good time. St. George is beautiful. Have you guys ever been there?
No.
Nope. I know it is.
It is beautiful.
Is it actually fall down there?
No, it was like actually, I guess you could say it was fall. It was like 60 degrees, clear skies, sunny.
Yeah.
St. George is Nevada weather, essentially.
Oh.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's right on the border. I mean, you had way better weather than we did here.
Yeah,
while we
it's
were gone.
straight up winter here now.
Yeah, no, it was way better. It was definitely like fall vibes. Like it was like mid-September almost.
Yeah.
Summer days.
I miss it. We just went straight from like 85 degrees on October, the second week of October, to now first week of November, and it is 35 degrees on my walk this morning is what it was. So.
But there was
that.
There was one thing that happened not only while I was in Utah. I actually had put this on our show sheet last week, but Peter removed it because he's a butt face.
What did I do?
Well,
butt face.
I just said what you did.
I removed something, but what did I remove?
So this has happened twice now. The first one that I had put on the sheet worst. I think it was worst poop walk-in.
Worst poop walk-ins. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's there again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it hasn't been brought up. Anyways,
listen, I can't. Like, what would I do? I would bring it up and go, "Who put worst poop walk-ins?"
Skip.
What the fuck is worst poop walk-ins?
Yeah, exactly. That's my question.
Okay. And wouldn't it be funny to be like, what's a worst poop walk-in? What a great segue to start something new, right? Anyways, I had an...
You technically you answered your own question by what you said earlier. Anything that doesn't involve Peter derails the whole thing.
That's true.
So when he didn't put it on the sheet, he's like,
Yeah.
Who put this on there?"
Only Peter ideas work.
The live show is going to be...
Yeah. He's going to be like, guys, stop derailing.
Yeah.
Stop.
I had a plan.
I had a plan here.
You killed my segue.
I'll make sure Jordan's in there too.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I had an experience like 2 weeks ago where I was in a public restroom and somebody had like pushed the door open and I was able to just put my hand up and be like, "Oh, occupied." And
Occupado.
Exactly. and like stop it, and they're like, "Oh, sorry," and I just hadn't locked it enough, so it wasn't that big of a deal. But then I had it happen while I was in Utah. One of my nieces like just completely barged in on me while I was taking a shit, and I was like, "Oh, you got to get out of here." Okay. And she like kind of was like shocked and frozen, and so I like had to like close the door and like push her out. It was a little awkward, but it led me to think, in your life, because those two are not my worst poop walk-ins, and I was curious, what are your guys' worst poop walk-ins?
Worst poop walk-in.
I don't view it as a bad thing. I mean, I'm pretty sure
Everybody loves company.
There's photos of me out there like taking a shit. Like people just like walked in and while I'm pooping and they just...
But that wouldn't be a bad one. I'm talking about like in a scenario. I'll give you an example. I was in China and I forget which garden it's called, but there's this large garden that was like outside of Tiananmen Square that was like thousands of years old and super historic and like a really, really big deal. Very pristine place. And you like walked over like these walkways that were like over these water, these like ponds with like lily pads and all these like beautiful flowers. And anyways, there was only one area that you could go to the bathroom. And I think this, at the time, I was probably like 16 years old. And in China, the bathrooms are on the ground. The toilets are on the ground. So it's not like your normal American toilet where it's like a throne that you sit down on. And
you got to squat.
You got to squat over it. It's level with the ground. So oftentimes when you go to tourist places like that, where more times than not it's people from out of the country, the handicap stalls will have the throne style toilet and the normal ones will not. So I saw that they had a handicap stall and it had a throne style toilet, and I'm like, oh, thank God. You know, I've been having to squat over the ground to shit, which is very uncomfortable if you're not used to it. For the last few days or whatever, I'm taking advantage of this. So I'm sitting there doing my business, enjoying the throne, and I notice next to the toilet paper roll is a button, a blue button with a musical note on it. And it looks like a child's, like, you know, you press it and it's like plays a song. So the curiosity in me says, you know, why not? So I press the button, and there's a loudspeaker that comes on over the entire bathroom and starts playing "Oh Susanna." Da 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 da.
Yeah.
And then I'm just sitting there.
And then a band comes in.
And out of the silence, I hear the pitter-patter of approaching footsteps, running.
Oh, like you're in distress.
Yes. I quickly realized this is a I've fallen and I can't get up button.
Oh, no.
And this man comes sprinting into the bathroom
with a key to the door.
Straight Rambo kicks the door in and just looks at me, and I'm sitting there covering myself. He starts screaming in Chinese. I don't know Chinese. The only thing I know how to say is "Wu ting bu dong." I don't understand what you're saying. So I'm just sitting there, "Wu ting bu dong, wu ting bu dong." And he points at me very sternly and then points at the button. Points at me, points at the button. And for some reason, my only response was, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. Like,
No banjo on my knee.
Like, there's
no banjo.
another option, like another button that could have been pressed, but that was by far my worst poop walk-in story.
Okay, so that happened to you.
Yes.
So I have one where this is probably the least. This isn't a Safe for Work podcast, but this is probably like the most
NSFW
story that I have ever told on this podcast.
Okay. I'm excited, Skip.
I was in New York.
And remember, it's not really you telling it.
Right.
Yeah. You're
So
safe.
I, Skip Bayless, was in New York City visiting a friend.
Shannon Sharp.
Sure. Yeah. Me and my boy Stephen A. Smith.
Okay.
No, so I was with this friend at a dive bar, and she had invited other friends. One of the friends that showed up brought his love interest or whatever. That love interest was a transgender woman. All right?
Okay.
So, we are getting acquainted. They disappear for a little while. And that's fine. Like, I wasn't there really hanging out with them. But I was like, I've got to go to the bathroom. As I'm walking to the bathroom, I open up one of the doors, and the guy is sucking the dick of the transgender woman while the transgender woman was snorting cocaine.
Oh, say that again? That's a double party? Was he what? Was he or she snorting a line off the boner?
No.
So the dick was...
So the guy
that was getting sucked off was snorting coke.
Yes.
Yes. The person getting sucked off was
The
snorting
woman
cocaine.
getting a blowjob was snorting cocaine.
Correct.
What a festival.
And I never, I'm pretty sure I just said sorry, and then I closed the door, and then I was like, we have to leave or something. You guys know me. Like, I was like, we have to go. We have to go.
Peter hasn't spoken of this
I've
moment
never told
until
this
now.
story.
Why would you leave that party?
You're not uncomfortable.
You didn't even ask if you could get a quick bump?
No. I didn't know what it would have led to.
If you
bump a dick?
Imagine if that's the only time you've ever tried cocaine in your life and that was it. You took a bump with the dude that was getting who was getting sucked off.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a party. Why would you leave that party?
It was one of the...
Instead, you opened the door and said, I didn't do it.
Yeah, it was the craziest experience of my entire life.
Oh, goodness.
So,
unfortunately,
maybe I avoided poop walk-in story because I didn't necessarily think I wanted to tell this story, all right?
Were you pooping?
I wasn't pooping, but I assume this is like poop
that
walk-in
counts.
adjacent.
That counts.
Yeah.
That counts.
I mean, if
it wasn't like a Blumpkin or anything like
no,
that.
that's where I thought you were going. That's where I thought you were going.
If she was getting sucked off while taking a shit
and doing bumps,
yeah. Oh my, that's better than Disneyland.
That woman
is a magical place.
That woman is living her best life.
Yeah. So it was.
Add a rotisserie chicken to that.
Oh
my
God,
murder. To be in that position.
One of the crazy experiences. I'm hot telling this story. Not like out of...
It's like you...
Yeah, you're horned up.
I'm not
you're horned up.
No,
you're horned
it's
up.
It's like you released something that's been inside of you this entire time for years.
Yeah. I can see it. I can see the bulge.
Stop it.
Yeah, there's no mask covering the bulge.
Stop it. We'll stand up right now.
I can eat.
Well, thanks for entertaining that. Unless, Miguel, did you have one?
Unfortunately, I don't have any.
Top that?
You look at all those experiences as positive ones, so.
Yeah, I don't have any. I mean, people have walked in on me all the time, and they're more than welcome to.
The more the merrier.
Yeah, yours are just wellness checks because you're in there.
I've
for a long
invited
time.
people.
Yeah.
I keep getting
Wellness
rejected.
checks. Are you alive?
Are you okay? You've been in there for an hour, sir.
Just a med check.
Well, people usually get it checked when they have blood on their stools.
Sir, you've been in here for 2
I
weeks.
thought that was just 2 straight weekends of La Hacienda.
I thought that was just Mexican food.
Taquito's real crispy. It must have been tearing my asshole up.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you guys?
I don't know.
Yeah. How did you guys do with your sports betting this past week?
Great.
Did you win?
DraftKings against both you clowns. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I won every bet I placed on DraftKings this weekend.
I won everything but like maybe a couple of anytime touchdowns.
Guess how many bets I placed on DraftKings this weekend?
2?
1.
0.
Oh. I
did look. Just I will share this with you guys. I looked at since the beginning of
Time.
preseason NFL. I have won every week.
Really? Like
I have
you're
not.
up?
Like I have not had to deposit money since August.
Good for you.
That's very
I
impressive.
have won every week. My most recent win was a 4-pick anytime touchdown parlay. 3 of the 4 scored a touchdown with more than 10 minutes left in the first quarter. By 10:11 a.m.
It paid out.
3 of the 4 had scored.
Which one were you waiting on?
Justin Jefferson scored. Joe Mixon and Mostert scored.
I almost put an anytime on Mixon, but I was like, they have been running the ball well recently.
Yeah. It's hard to do after the Browns game.
Yeah.
But the one that I waited on was Christian Kirk. And he got a last
sure.
one with the Jags comeback.
Yep, that's true.
But
I did figure that I saw this video earlier today, which was titled, If Sports Bettors Were Interviewed Like Head Coaches. Take a listen.
What are your thoughts going into this game tonight?
Well, I feel good about it, obviously. We're locked in and should be a profitable night.
All right, thanks. Good luck.
Appreciate it.
What are your thoughts on the first half?
Well, obviously not good, right? I mean, 7-3. We got over 43.5. Trying to cash this bet. Not going to do it when we scored 10 points in the first half. So,
If you could be in the locker room right now, what would you tell these teams?
score some f***ing points.
So obviously, tough loss for you tonight.
Yeah, no it was a bad loss.
3 straight losing weeks for you now. How will you stop this streak next week?
You know what, Clark? That's the problem with you. You're always focused on the negative. The damn negative. Every week. I'm cold. What else you want me to say?
All right, thank you.
All right.
I can relate to that guy so much.
I figured that had the right tone and tenor for us. So,
Have you confirmed the viewership for Thursday Night Football? And I mean, I sent you the
I
screenshot.
believe you.
It's a 5 million.
You
gap.
dumb.
Yeah, exactly.
You dumb.
Yeah, we should talk about some of the bets. So I lose that bet to you, but I
20.
won that bet from you when it came to the Chargers and
And
Falcons.
the Falcons are about to win the next 4 straight, so you should probably just let me keep that 20.
Oh, you're talking about from our over-under. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll see.
I also want to bet against Braxton.
Shut up.
You did, the Astros and Phillies, and it's good that
That's
we won't
a
have an
fitty.
economic crisis. So
That's a feedy.
$50. How about that?
I think
Yeah,
it's
what
a
a
20.
what a sucker.
It's on the left.
What a jabroni.
So,
Yeah, I think I might just quit gambling.
$75 million for good old
Matty Mack.
Yeah, I'm wondering how much he's gonna pocket from that after he pays out all of his.
I mean, he says it's a small amount, but it's probably like $10 million.
Yeah.
That he gets to keep or that he pays out.
That he keeps.
Yeah.
He keeps that little? Like
That's what I'm. But
you
like,
think he shells out $65 million in fucking mattresses?
he said it was getting pretty close to breaking even.
Yeah, I
And
remember
that's the
he
thing.
cut off the deal before
All the business that he gets, like he's to come out at the end of it with all the publicity, and you still make $10 million.
Yeah, I guess it's not bad.
Like that's the whole point of his thing, is that if I can sell all these fucking mattresses, get my name all over the place, it's like people are going to continue to buy mattresses from this guy regardless of, something going on.
I thought the funniest part of how he was being promoted, because if you follow BR Betting on Instagram, Greg Ivory, You follow him? So he posts a lot of his bets through FanDuel, and it's like this group of 3 guys and like 2 girls. So Greg Ivory has been hanging out with Mattress Mack the entire World Series. Like, he's been going to games with him.
Oh, has he been the guy next to him?
He's been the guy next to him the
Gotcha.
whole time. Yeah. He's dancing with him. He's sweating with him. Like, when the Phillies went up 1-0 on the Game 6, he's sitting there like as pissed as Mattress Mack. So when they were filming the video of Mattress Mack dancing and celebrating, and Greg Ivory's interviewing him, like, how does it feel to be $75 million richer? And you look at every comment on there, and it was like, Greg, you dick riding bitch. You want a cut from that 75 mil so fucking bad. And he was getting clowned left and right. Like, you think Mattress Mack is going to give you fucking money? He's not giving you shit.
A little jock sniffer.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, almost everything Bleacher Report puts out, I'm like, this is just a little bit cringy.
A little cringe.
But I am happy for Mattress Mack. He has been cold as an icebox recently.
Yeah. And he was going through it all week. I don't know if you saw people heckling him. And
he got close to being, like, canceled.
Yeah, he's like, fuck you. Just, like, very angry at people.
Phillies fans, too. Like, they're not one to fuck with.
Leave the old guy alone. But
I mean, but he's well known for dishing it.
Yeah, he can take it.
Yeah.
I mean, he was welcoming.
It was a bad night. Just a bad night for him.
Yeah.
But hey, I'm happy for him. I was definitely rooting for the Phillies, but good on you. I love
anytime someone takes that much money from the books, that is a fucking victory for all of us.
Yeah. Whenever the good guy wins, I'm in.
Well, okay, so congrats to the Astros for winning.
Not really, though.
The
Fuck
Cheatstros?
The Cheatstros.
I mean, they did give me fitty, and we don't have to go through a recession.
Yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah,
That's what stopped it.
That was the ultimate concern.
It's a giant risk, dude. Can't afford that.
After a very exciting...
Don't forget to go and vote, folks.
It's too late.
Yeah.
Just don't forget. We're the ones who reminded you.
It's like telling the NFL teams, hey, don't forget to trade. Hey, pass the trade deadline.
Get your trade offers in, boys.
Yeah. Jesus. So, Georgia, Tennessee, and LSU, Alabama. The Georgia-Tennessee game was a bit of a stinker. I mean, if you're, a Tennessee fan. So.
Or you just wanted a close game. I mean, we all picked Tennessee.
Well, right.
Thought that spread was way too high.
Yeah, I mean, it was over a touchdown, and you're talking about like an unstoppable offense. Well, Georgia found a way to be the bigger team and show up in the bigger game. And they were, had the home crowd as well. So,
I think the bigger game is LSU beating Alabama and truly putting Alabama in a position where they're not going to be in the Final Four.
I mean, when's the last time a 2-loss Alabama team? When's the last time we've seen that?
Well, I have the answer for you.
It wasn't that long ago.
Well,
unfortunately,
it says Saturday. So this upcoming game will be Alabama's 164th game since the start of 2011. It will be the first time that the Crimson Tide are playing a regular season game without having the chance to win a national title.
So does that translate to that's the last time they've had 2 losses?
No, they've had 2 losses before.
Yeah.
But now they're like dead in the water, not able to make which seems wrong. I feel like that there was like a Greg McElroy year that sucked, where they were like 7-5. Is that wrong? Either way. Still, they've been dominant. And now they have very little chance. I mean, gosh, a lot's got to happen. Let's first talk about the game. I liked Brian Kelly's quote where he was just like, I just didn't want to go and do the whole back and forth thing for why he went for it, the 2-point conversion on the first possession in overtime. It was a big balls move to show up. Alabama's been playing close with a lot of good teams this year. So, like, it didn't shock me at all to see LSU win. And especially, again, like, the history between these two teams, Death Valley, under the light, everything was, like, trending for like how awesome would this be for LSU upset.
You know, we brought that up, the fact that it was in Death Valley last week, but I read a stat after we had recorded that they're like 2-7 against Alabama at Death Valley in the last 9 matchups or something like that.
I feel like they have like lost a lot recently.
Yeah, my take was definitely way off on Alabama more than covering 13.5.
Yeah.
But I don't take back that LSU is still a deceiving 7-2 team. I think they showed up for the history of that battle between the two programs, but I don't think LSU is that good.
No,
I think they showed up for that game
Yeah.
at home and was fucking like rock hard to beat the shit out of them, and they did. But I don't think you're going to see an LSU team like run over whoever they have left. I don't think that's the case.
No, I think this was way more of a sign for Alabama than it is for LSU.
You ever notice that Alabama teams have always had those teams where they're stacked everywhere? I'm talking like the 5-star receivers, the linebackers, the Minka Fitzpatricks, the Devontae Smiths, and then they're always led by like an A.J. McCarron or a Greg McElroy. And then you have this team where they have a Heisman like front runner to begin the season. Winner.
Yeah.
Did he win?
Yeah.
Oh, Heisman winner.
Yeah.
In Bryce Young. And you have now those positions that I always look at to be stacked. Now you have it at QB, but he doesn't have that same caliber of, and it's weird to say that he doesn't have the same caliber of talent that we're used to seeing, even though they're all still 5 stars.
But I think you're only saying that because they're not winning as much as you expect them to. I think
No, I'm saying that because can you name an Alabama receiver or linebacker?
No.
I'm sure plenty of people could.
But, I mean, if we go back a year ago or 2 years ago, we can name the Jamison Williams. We can name the Jalen Waddle because they're talked about a lot because they put up those numbers. And I'm just saying that I'm absolutely not saying that Bryce Young doesn't have talent. It's fucking Alabama. They have better talent than anyone else. They just don't have the names that we constantly talk about. You know, the Devontae Smiths. Where's the Derrick Henrys?
Right.
Where's the Mark Ingrams in the backfield?
Well, I think that I saw, and I forget who said it, but it was in an interview today with a former head coach. I'm kicking myself for not putting this on the sheet to reference. But it was essentially him saying that the NIL is going to be the thing that drives Nick Saban out of coaching.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's just because of what the NIL either stands for, what it has become, and what the competitive advantage that he no longer has. You know, like, I mean, you're seeing all of these guys go to, whether they be in HBCU or recruited to a place with another bigger endowment fund for the NIL, and it is leveling things off for good old Nick
Which
Saban.
I think is good for college football as a whole, especially if we're trending towards this 8-team, 12-team playoff. I think we say this word so often. We want parity.
Yes.
And I think that we're getting closer and closer to that. I mean, you look at the top 4 right now. Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and Ohio State. I mean, I think bringing that Michigan team and most importantly TCU into that picture definitely creates some of that parity. And obviously with Tennessee and Oregon being right on the cusp, Tennessee is a team we haven't seen in this position in a decade or more. Oregon obviously is a team that creates that parity coming from the West.
And I mean, what you would see if the playoff were to start today and it were 12 teams, it would be Alabama versus USC. And that's kind of a fun...
That's awesome.
That's like kind of that fun dynamic that you're looking for.
Exactly.
What's that for Sugar Bowl?
Oh, what would it be?
Cotton Bowl?
I forget which one is which at this point.
I mean, TCU has a great game coming up on Saturday.
Yeah.
I haven't watched a single TCU game.
Well, if you watch them in the first half, they're losing all the time.
Yeah.
And then if you watch them in the second half, they're coming back.
If you've been betting TCU all season, you are shitting yourself in the first half.
Especially, don't bet them in the first half.
But you watch the second half, and they have covered every spread
They
of
have.
every fucking game that you bet on.
Damn.
But
Yeah.
they don't do. They get their shit together at
They're
halftime,
nail biters.
and then they'll go.
So your number one is Georgia after leapfrogging Ohio State, going from 3-1. Then you have Ohio State stagnant at number 2, TCU at number 3, and who's at number 4?
Michigan,
Michigan. Yeah,
Tennessee, Oregon, 5 and 6.
exactly.
TCU plays Texas on Saturday at Texas.
Damn.
And Texas just had a big win against Kansas State, a fucking good Kansas State team that they beat by 6 last Saturday. TCU Texas is one of the best games on Saturday.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
Because you know they're like the only team that's not going to get the benefit of the doubt in the top 4 is TCU. They drop that game, they're so out of that top 4 like fucking quick. Tennessee passes them right away with their only loss to Georgia.
Well, Tennessee, they lose. And albeit they lost in pretty convincing fashion, although the score wouldn't be that indicative of it. But Tennessee falls 4 spots to out of it, right? After Clemson loses as well to unranked Notre Dame.
Clemson, the biggest frauds.
I know. Well, Clemson was an unconvincing.
Fuck Clemson.
Yeah, they were unconvincing as an undefeated team. But TCU, it's interesting because the committee had dinged TCU at number 7 in the initial rankings. And it was because they said, oh, they're playing from behind all the time. And now, putting them in the college football playoff rankings now at number 4, they're like, oh, well, it's just because they're closing games out and they're winning. So they're just making things up.
Well,
as they go.
There's 2 things I want to ask. And first one, can you, while I'm asking the second thing, will you look up who TCU has left?
Yeah.
And the second thing is, obviously Michigan and Ohio State are going to play each other. Do you think if whatever team loses that game but wins out, possibly, because they're in the separate sides of the Big Ten, right? You can lose that game and still go to the championship. Incorrect? So whoever loses that game isn't going to be in the championship.
Correct.
So would you think that if whoever loses that game is out of the top 4?
Yes.
In my opinion, or what I think is going to happen?
What do you think is going to happen?
I think they'll be out of the top 4 because they're not going to jump a 1-loss Tennessee team who lost to the number 1 team.
Correct.
I think so. If what I think the CFP committee is doing is saying, okay, we're going to put both Michigan and Ohio State in the top 4, knowing that we're going to drop one of them.
Yeah.
And we're going to hope that with TCU's remaining schedule, based on what it is and what Pete's about to tell us, they'll drop one of those games. We can bring back in a 1-loss Tennessee. Mm-hmm. We can keep a 1-loss Georgia if they lose to Tennessee in the SEC championship,
or an Oregon team that wins out,
and then
only lost to Georgia. Yeah,
exactly. To push that one.
The committee has basically put the puzzle pieces up, and they're hoping that it falls in their favor. Yep. In 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, and so TCU, for the rest, they have number 18 Texas, then they have unranked Baylor and unranked Iowa State. And I think also to your point, Wes,
they could lose any one of those games.
They could, yeah, for sure. I mean, especially when they just run out of gas in the second half, especially if they're playing from behind. So if you look at the top 10, so you have Georgia, Ohio State, Michigan, TCU in your top 4, first 2 out, Tennessee, Oregon, then LSU, USC, Alabama, Clemson round out your top 10. So USC has, their only loss was to Utah, but they haven't beaten a top 25 team this year. USC had. I mean, they're banking on Lincoln Riley and all of that. So I think that the committee is thinking that Oregon or USC will lose, right? They're thinking LSU could lose again, which could potentially clear the way again for an Alabama Clemson to leapfrog someone else should they win out as well.
But here's the thing. Do you think...
Not necessarily to the playoff, but...
So let's say USC wins out. Do you think that a Do you think that Alabama-Clemson leap still happens, or are they giving that credit to USC for beating Oregon in the Pac-12 championship, and then USC pushes into the Final
It's an
Four?
interesting thing because Alabama at this point cannot go to the SEC championship.
I think
right?
Alabama's
Clemson
out.
Could. Yeah, I think Alabama's done.
Alabama's done.
Yeah.
You're talking about if USC wins out, do they make a leap to the Final Four or just a better bowl game?
Final Four. If they end the season with that one loss, is everybody going to give them the same consideration they would have given Oregon with that one loss?
Well, because they would have then beaten a one-loss Oregon who lost to Georgia,
yeah.
proving that they don't deserve, quote-unquote, deserve to be in that top 4, and then USC will have just beaten Oregon.
And their only loss is to a top 15 Utah.
Correct. At that point, their resume would look a lot better.
Also, outside of Alabama, you can add Clemson to not making. There's no way they're going to leapfrog anyone to the top 4. They lost to a 5-3 Notre Dame team.
Okay.
Got rocked.
I think
those two teams are insurance policies.
This is the hardest question. Do you take a 12-1 TCU, 12-1 Michigan, or 12-1 a USC?
Assuming that Tennessee is in?
Yeah.
I think it depends on
you have
what
to
Michigan does against Ohio State if they lose that game.
Yeah, because I think in this scenario, Georgia's in, Tennessee's in. So let's say Tennessee.
In this scenario, yeah. Like Tennessee is very much aligned to make it back to the playoffs.
So in your scenario, Georgia, Ohio State, Tennessee are in the top 3, and the 4th spot will be between a one-loss USC, TCU, and Michigan.
Yeah.
I don't think I would take Michigan because I'm not putting 2 Big Ten teams up there.
Even if their only loss is to the number 2 Ohio State? Because that's the best loss.
And TCU, we would assume, would lose to one of those 3.
Texas,
so
Baylor.
I would cancel them out. So it'd be between USC, who at that point would have
Oregon as their best
a quality win against Oregon.
And against UCLA as well.
UCLA,
they will have beaten
technically.
UCLA. And they will have...
And a Michigan quality win would be
lost to
Ohio
Utah.
State. That's tough.
Right.
It's tough because I feel like if the committee wants, I think they would pick USC for the least amount of judgment to take somebody from the West, to not leave out the West Coast. So I think they're going to look at the position that they're in. Do we put 2 Big Ten teams up there, or do we take the Pac-12 winner?
Right.
We have to put some respect
and
on the
it's not
Pac-12.
only just 2 Big Ten. It's we're only going to represent 2 conferences in the playoffs.
Yeah,
Right.
so they would have to respect Pac-12, and USC would leap over TCU, considering that one of those losses will be from the next 3. It'd have to be USC.
Right, because USC will then have beaten number 12 UCLA, number 6 Oregon, and lost to a shootout to Utah, which is in the top 15.
Yeah, so you have,
So, and that leads me to kind of another point, and we've talked about this a little bit, which we said, okay, what happens if Oregon goes if they win out, do you put them back into the playoff? And Joel Klatt, who is with Gus Johnson on the National Call on Fox, has a podcast, and he brought up why he posed the question about why Oregon scheduled Georgia in the first place. He basically said there's no benefit to playing that game for Oregon, right? And that's what he's laying out. He's laying out the fact that it was essentially a road game and that you're playing this, top 10 team or whatever. And I'm wondering, because what is happening with Michigan right now is Michigan was dogged for not having good non-conference games, right? They're seen as weaker because they did not position themselves. They were playing cupcake teams in their non-conference. So the question is, would you rather be Michigan or Oregon, and are you damned if you do and damned if you don't?
I personally disagree completely, because I think scheduling a team like Georgia, you know that they are going to be ranked because obviously they plan these games years and years in advance. So let's say they do this 5 years ago. You know Georgia's going to be one of those teams in that position. You know they're going to be at minimum a top 10 team. So scheduling a team like that in the SEC early on in the season, if you can win the rest of the games like the Ducks have, people are going to forget. Like, we're going to remember it's a blowout. But there's going to be at least a conversation around Oregon's improved. If they were to play Georgia right now, it might be different. They might be able to keep up. Time heals all things. And I think that just like the conversation we just had, if Oregon's able to win out, and regardless of the score of that Georgia game, you can say, their only loss is to a top 4 team, Georgia, number 1 team, Georgia. And that helps their case move even forward.
I don't think so.
My initial response is, why do they choose to play Georgia? My initial response is because I hate Oregon, is because they think they're better than they are. So that's my initial response. But then we take for example a year before that, they played Ohio State in Columbus and fucking won.
They worked them.
So this is also another top 10 team, a perennial fucking powerhouse, and they beat them.
And at the time, no one knew that Dan Lanning was going to be the head coach.
Sure.
And all that.
Whatever other factors come in, they beat them. So they play Georgia. Now, to your point, yeah, you play a powerhouse team like Georgia and get rocked. Yes, it's away. It's not in Eugene, whatever. And then you win out. Let's say that they win out. Is it looked at as a positive 100%? Record-wise, yes, you could make it far. But I think that could also bite him in the ass. Because now, if you're the committee and then you have Oregon as one of the teams that could leapfrog into the 4th position, and it's 1-4, Georgia-Oregon,
right.
They're going to be like, why would we put that matchup again when they fucking rocked them? Yeah. You think Georgia got worse? No. We're not going to. People are not going to see that, are going to want to see that matchup again because they've blown them out.
No one wants to see that game again.
But why not?
Because
but listen, hear me out. Because this was a game that was literally one of the first games played in the season. Oregon, you can look at as one of the more improved teams from that game that has come into this. Okay, Bo Nix is now Heisman candidate. He's one of 3 players to ever get Offensive Player of the Week in the Pac-12. He's doing all these things that are unheard of, and people are putting Oregon in this position. I think of any rematch, of big teams that happened early in the season, this is the one that people would want to see the most.
I absolutely disagree.
I mean, I can see that a little bit just because of Oregon's ability to advance. However, I also know that not a single one of the college football playoff semifinal games has been competitive. And I think that if they're looking at that one was a total blowout.
And you have history to back you up.
And we have now...
I'm not disagreeing with you guys.
We know that all these games
I can definitely get what you're saying.
Let's roll the dice on something new.
My only point is, of the possible rematches, I would rather see, and obviously I'm biased, but would you guys rather see Oregon and Georgia go at it again, or Tennessee and Georgia go at it?
Tennessee and Georgia.
Really?
I would rather see Tennessee, Georgia again.
Okay, then maybe it's my bias.
The thing is, the argument is no different than let's play Georgia in November. It's very one-sided because you're seeing, as a fan, how well Oregon's done since that blowout. And that argument does not make any sense to me because it's basically trying to tell people, look how much better Oregon's gotten, and you think Georgia just sat there and we're the same. No, we also expected Tennessee to cover and possibly beat Georgia, and Georgia just showed us how much better they fucking are than everybody else. I mean, they're going to run away with the national title. No one's going to beat them.
If somehow Georgia slips up and we see Ohio State as number 1, and then you can make the case for like Oregon playing as number 4 against the number 1 Ohio State, yes, I can make that argument. But like, what happens if Oregon gets their shit rocked again? Right? Like, I mean, like, what happens?
Or it's possible we
and then
have
what?
3 one-loss teams in the Final Four, and they jump to 3.
I think
there's a lot of different ways this could happen. But also, to your point, the playoff committee has not been afraid of doing.
Well, they don't
replays.
give a shit. They're also idiots.
You know what I mean? They don't mind doing matchups again.
If you're promoting rematches, I think Oregon has a better chance if they come in at number 4 and Ohio State's number 1.
Yeah.
Because then we can dial back to last season and oh, this is Ohio State's chance to see if, that was a fluke. CJ Stroud was a freshman or whatever, and he threw 5 touchdowns.
That's where I see
obviously,
it.
I would love to see Oregon against anybody in a playoff game, but
I mean, who's the best team Oregon's played so far?
Georgia.
Outside of Georgia.
Outside of Georgia.
Oh, UCLA.
UCLA's their best win so far.
Yeah, they're playing Washington, then Utah,
and Washington's currently ranked, so they're
going
to play them.
BYU sucks, right?
I mean, BYU was
didn't
ranked
when they played them.
Yeah, they were ranked when they played them, so that counts as a quality win. They're going to play UW on Saturday, and UW's currently ranked number 25. So they have 2 games where non-Duck fans are counting on them to slip. It's possible that they could slip. One advantage they have is they have both games at home.
Yeah.
They have Washington instead of playing in Seattle, in Eugene, and Utah.
Do you want to go to the Utah game, Pete?
Is it in Eugene?
It is, Skip.
Yeah, sure. Let's go.
Chase Wild, attorney at law's father, Ryan Wild, attorney at law, will be there.
Perfect.
They're both attorneys?
Yep.
So we'll get out. Yeah, when is that? What is happening?
November 19th.
What's Chase's kid's name?
Thea.
Wild attorney at law.
Yeah. His sister, Victoria Wild, attorney at law.
Beautiful.
His other sister,
attorney at law,
Ruby Wild, beautician
at law. At law.
That's pretty great. Let's see. We have a couple more things on the Tyler docket for college football.
Do we?
Which is
we just went so deep in that bitch.
There is.
Stop trying to derail shit, man.
There were the rumors about whether or not Dan Lanning would jump from Oregon to Auburn.
Hell
with
no.
Brian Harson's departure, and he cleared that up and saying the reality is the grass is not always greener. In fact, the grass is damn green in Eugene, and I want to be in Eugene as long as Eugene will have me. This is a destination not just for me, but for elite players. But we've heard Mario Cristobal say that and Willie Taggart say that.
It's honestly to the point I read that quote earlier, and I was like, yeah, he's gone.
If you're a Duck fan and
pretty sure that's exactly what both the other guys.
Yeah, it's like they give him the same cue cards to these guys every year. Yeah, say this. It works it works every time.
We have a Duck homer at work, and the only thing out of his mouth was, he said Eugene is home.
He made green rhyme with Eugene.
I just looked at him. I'm like, you can't be this naive.
Yeah.
Like he's gone. You think he's gonna say he's considering going anywhere else when they're in the midst of possibly making the playoffs? Like, no. Of course not.
And that's the thing. He should have just ended each of those sentences with this year or next year. I'm not going to leave next year. Like he's gonna stay regardless. I think they're doing too well this year for him to just up and leave. But
my buyout is too great.
Yeah. I don't think Dan Lanning is in Eugene where the grass is green past year 3.
I think what he said was perfect.
Skip, don't give me that look.
I think what he said was perfect. I mean, that's the reason why everyone's talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, he left it exactly where people are like, oh my God, he's staying.
I will say he is way more lovable than Mario Cristobal.
And Willie, yeah.
Oh, really?
But yeah, I mean, like, I think that this is where people would be bummed because he's a good recruiter and he's actually like made the offense look
and
good.
he's just like a cool dude.
Yeah.
Have you hung out with him?
Yeah, we got beers last night.
Exactly. Another guy that I might want to have beers with would be good old Mike Leach.
I'd have a beer with Mr. Leach any day of the
Mike
week.
Leach, fresh
Can you
off
imagine
of
how many awkward silences there would be?
I won't let there be any. I would constantly be asking him questions.
You know what it would be is he would just have to stop all the time to cough all over you. He was having a little bit of trouble there in his press conference here. Oh, wait. Now there's going to be a fucking advertisement. Hold on.
If you're a homeowner in Oregon,
Fuck you.
If you're hungover in Oregon,
while we're listening to this ad, he would be a great like hypothetical would you rather candidate.
oh, I would fire off left and right.
He would really consider the options.
He really would.
I would throw him the most ridiculous, unrealistic hypothetical, and he'd sit there and ponder.
And then he would
I'm
do
like,
a
Mike, I was
10-minute
fucking
dive.
with
Well,
you.
I gotta really think about the logistics of owning a dragon. I'd probably have to have some kind of garage or dungeon.
Mike, move on. I was fucking with you.
Yeah. And then he would spend half the time doing this.
Well, they're kicking it off. And then, I'm working on this trademark cough. What do you think? It's getting better, too. Well, then, we
Oh my God, it's loogies everywhere.
I thought we could have been closer, and then I only made 3 straight field goals, and we got credit for one of them.
There you go. But in addition, he had a pretty good soundbite earlier in his press conference. It's always nice when you start it with,
I'll get in trouble for this, I'm certain, but
I'll get in trouble for this,
Mike.
but I'm certain. Let's re-rack that.
I always love in his interviews how he repeats words like 17 times.
Yeah.
all little things, it's not some deal where I'll get into this, I'm certain, but where instead of playing hard and getting a first down and getting a play, then you want to sit behind a shade tree, eat a fish sandwich, and drink a lemonade with your fat little girlfriend, and that's what we're shooting for way too often. I thought, when can we relax, making judgments on plays, and well, and it definitely bit us pretty hard, and it certainly created some obstacles we had to fight through. And
Was that on the normal
I just
speed?
realized
I've
that
never
that
heard
was-
him speak that
I
fast.
just realized that was at 1.25 speed.
I was going to say, I've never heard Mike Leach talk that fast.
I was just gonna say,
Hold on.
Like, is
he
he
like
on
running out of breath, like just trying to get it out as fast as
I
possible.
did realize that as we were listening. I was like, that's a little bit fast there.
He talks a lot slower than that.
Yeah, this is a real speed.
I'll get in trouble for this, I'm certain, but
sounds drunk.
where instead of playing hard and getting a first down and getting a play, then you want to sit behind a shade tree, eat a fish sandwich, and drink a lemonade with your fat little girlfriend, and that's what we're shooting for way too often. I thought, when can we relax, making judgments on plays, and well. And it definitely bit us pretty hard, and it certainly created some obstacles we had to fight through.
He's just grunting now for no reason.
Oh goodness!
Is he a chain smoker? Does he rip
That
cigs?
was then at normal
He's a
speed.
cigar guy.
Yeah.
Mike Leach. I would hang out with him any day, man.
So I did think it was funny. There was during the game, he was pissed off at his wide receivers, so he walked over to where they sit. They had folding chairs, and he just folded them all up and threw them on the ground, and we just refused to let his wide receivers sit.
Having a fish sandwich and a lemonade with your fat little girlfriend.
He doesn't give a fuck.
Oh god!
Probably gonna get in trouble for this, but
Oh, did you have anything more college? Because I had a question for Miguel about
that
something
is
else.
all of college.
What?
How about them Jets?
Fuck the Bills.
Are you getting pretty excited that I made you a Jets fan now?
Man.
Perfect timing.
I wore the shirt all day Sunday. Big Zach Wilson guy. I've been watching nothing but MILF videos.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
You're Just exclusively MILF videos on XNXX.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
My old Dell laptop had the MILF Hunter, like all the videos. Remember that guy?
Yeah. Hey, shout out him.
The guy used to go to Albertsons just to pick him up while they're looking at canoes. It's very impressive.
What? What Albertson has?
It was a very specific video where he picked up this lady with a convertible Benz, and she was outside the Albertsons, and they had canoes outside.
Was she going to buy a canoe and put it on her convertible Benz to take home?
Probably.
That's
Or
a
she was just
logical
looking to be
story.
picked up by a MILF Hunter. He rolled in with his green motorcycle.
It works every time.
He has like the whole
fucking
screenplay memorized. It's like from top to bottom.
Rolled in on a green motorcycle, almost like a jet.
Almost.
You remember,
Hey, ba-dum-psh.
you remember how the Jets beat the Bills?
Yeah, fuck the Bills.
Why is that such a big like? Because I picked the Bills. Like, is that why that's such a big deal?
Yeah, that's why you
No,
lost.
Miguel's just one of the biggest Jets fans I know.
Oh, sure, right.
Big Jets fan.
Well, Josh Allen might be hurt. That kind of sucks for him and the team
And my fantasy team.
and your fantasy. Yeah, sure.
Okay,
So-
if you had to pick, if you have a first overall pick, and all three were in the same class, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, who do you take as number one?
Oh, jeez.
I would take Josh Allen.
Really?
Yeah.
Pete, who would you take? I mean, Skip.
Skip.
I think
Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott.
Hey, Syracuse and Pittsburgh are playing. Who do you take? Oregon.
Oregon.
I think the Ducks will win outright. In all caps.
I think I would go with probably Mahomes because Mahomes, like Josh Allen's success took a little bit longer. So
I think I'd take Mahomes.
The reason
That's toughy, though.
yeah, it is.
I'm just looking at this on an individual basis. I think the Bills had to build more around Josh Allen to get to where they are now. A lot of the skill players and the big names that they have, the Bills drafted, whereas Mahomes kind of came into a more beneficial situation. They paid for their weapons to come to Kansas City. So if I'm looking at this on an individual basis, I mean, the dude's like 6'7", runs like a 4.5, can bulldoze over linebackers, can throw it 80 yards on a fucking dime.
Hurdle over people.
I think if you're looking at the specimen themselves, I think that's why I take Josh Allen.
I don't have anything against Josh Allen, but are you telling
Well, it sounds like it.
Are you telling me that you think Mahomes walked in to a
No.
perfect Kansas City team?
No,
I was just going to say, what was that Chiefs team doing before him?
Well, they went to the playoffs with Alex Smith.
Year before that.
I think they went to the playoffs with Alex Smith again. But I didn't say they were great. I just said that the Chiefs, it was a more beneficial situation. Not great. I think that Mahomes obviously brought a lot to that team. There's no doubt about it. But the Bills had to do more. I don't think there's any denying that.
Sounds biased to me. Very Oregon take.
Yeah, quite.
Built different.
Built different. Well, how about who else is built different are the Indianapolis Colts after last week into this week, firing Frank Reich as their head coach and hiring Jeff Saturday, of all people, from ESPN's
That was
Get
a
Up.
shocker.
That
How long has he been retired?
a while. Long enough.
And think about, like, your whole identity is, I'm the guy that Peyton Manning put his hands up my ass.
And yelled at me whenever
Right.
I fucked
Yeah.
up.
And yelled at me. It says, like, you're not calling the plays. I call the plays
Oh,
here.
that was Jeff Saturday.
Yeah. I call the goddamn plays. You block.
And you're named after the day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, his only head coaching experience
That's the worst part.
was a high school football team. Like, I mean, listen, like, at this point, a lot of people have stomped all over Jeff Saturday. He's now got a 30-year-old play caller who is going to, who's on the staff, who was actually married by Frank Reich. Frank
Damn.
Reich married him in 2021, and now he's going to be calling.
I mean,
plays, so.
there's no turning the Colts around this season. It's all a joke from this point on. Anyway.
I mean, this is just a vibes play. I think Jeff is going to be great vibes. They're gonna get a few wins that they probably weren't meant to. Gonna cover a few spreads that they probably weren't meant to. And
I mean, that's
let's
easy.
be honest, Jim Irsay probably like low dosed a little bit too many mushrooms that morning. And was just like, I fucking love Jeff. He's such a great guy.
So great.
He's more than capable.
And then he was like, when you're like a little too fucked up and you're like, you know what, I'm going to call this old friend and just see how they're doing. And then you're on the phone and, it's a great conversation. You're just like, you know what, I own a football team, man. Why don't you come work for me?
Coach it.
Frank's a bummer, dude.
Just a big old bummer.
I need a rah-rah speech. I just
Jeff,
watched you on Get Up, and you got me excited.
Can I tell you something about Frank? He is a big fat phony.
Jeff,
he
you
is
like
a big
beers?
fat phony.
You like beers, Jeff? Come on down.
Is he going to be any good? Probably not. But no, it's funny because Jeff Saturday in his introductory press conference was like, one of the first questions that I had for Mr. Irsay was, why am I a candidate? That's not a good sign. Not a good start.
That's always what you want to hear.
Yeah, and then Irsay said, I kind of like that he doesn't have any head coaching experience, so he's not afraid and he's not jaded by analytics.
It's a move that, to your point, you're saying it's all good vibes from here. Yes, because what they did is they made a move where you're so far down on the bottom that anything good that can happen is a bonus.
Yeah.
You cover a spread, great. You win a fucking game, awesome. Because right now, no one expects anything from you.
Well, and the thing, you had John Fox on the staff, who is, not a great head coach, but he's been a head coach. You had up-and-coming black head coaches who you could have put into place, and instead you chose Jeff Saturday. And then, he just goes, oh, yeah, he was the right guy for the job. He was like, are you sure? He was like, oh, we were so lucky to get him. Like, what?
What else was he doing?
The funny part is after they were asking Irsay about the Saturday hire, they started asking about the GM. I can't think of his name right now. And they were like, well, what are your next moves for the GM position? Obviously, he's the one who put together this team. And he was like, oh, what's his name?
Chris Ballard.
And he was like, oh, Chris? Chris, we're not getting rid of Chris.
Yeah, he's
Chris
a genius.
Chris is genius. He's a winner.
He is a winner.
Jim, I think you might be disconnecting some things here, but hey, I'll hope to the Colts.
The thing is that when it comes to everything that that Saturday could do, Jeff Saturday, I almost forgot his name for a second. It's how irrelevant.
It's Jeff Saturday.
Yeah, sure. That he could do is the fact is I totally lost my train of thought because I can't even see out of this thing. This is starting to be uncomfortable. Okay, so he can have all the intention in the world to try and turn this thing around, but unless you have willing participants, they could just totally motherfuck you, right? He can come in and give the speeches and give the rah-rah and everything like that, but there's all these coaches that know you don't deserve this. There's all these players who know you don't deserve this. So, why would they do anything for him?
He's a Band-Aid. He's not going to be the coach next season.
Honestly, if I was him, I'd come in and I would sit down with, the, starting 22 guys and maybe a few key players outside of that and be like, okay, we've got 7 games left in the season, 8 games maybe left in the season. What do we need to do to get you bonuses, player bonuses? How can we
get them on your side?
Yeah. How can we create an offense and a scheme to where we're making you guys money, we're getting you good film, and who knows, if we're having a good time and we can get some momentum, we win a few fucking games and kind of prove people wrong. That's what I would do. I think that's the only way to get people at this point in the Colts season to be like, all right, let's do this.
How
Jeff.
can you help my pocketbook?
Yeah.
Exactly. Moving on before we just kind of talk about next week and then we conclude this week with more punishment, I assume, is that I thought it was interesting to see Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers in their respective games this week. Aaron Rodgers has blamed everyone but himself in the first 8-9 weeks of the year. And he talks about how the receivers are missing reads 1 out of every 5 plays and all of this stuff, to where he hasn't been terribly introspective to say, maybe I'm the problem here. But then to watch Tom Brady, fresh off of his divorce, loving life now, has absolutely no one to throw to. Has this guy named Cade Otton as a tight end who puts up like 25 fantasy points this week. And then when the game was over, essentially, he leads the Bucs back to beat the Rams in like less than 2 minutes. And it was interesting to see that happen, how it all played out, because he did that with a bunch of no-name players. And I think that, like, Aaron Rodgers' inability to admit that he is washed at this point is a little telling. And that's the reason why they're doing so poorly.
I think
one of the big reasons they're doing so poorly.
Skill-wise, I don't think Rodgers is washed. I think him and Brady are on the same level as far as what they have left in the tank. I think, and it's weird that you would even say Brady won with a bunch of no-names. You're right, because his names didn't do shit. I mean, he's been getting blamed for their losses. How many drops has Mike Evans had in the last 3 games?
Yeah, they don't seem to be.
I mean, Mike Evans doesn't seem like he's mentally in the fucking game. Leonard Fournette hasn't done shit. He is throwing to that tight end, and Scotty Miller, who his new Julian Edelman. I mean, Scotty Miller's getting like 6 balls in a row. Rodgers just doesn't seem like he's interested, like he wants to be there. Brady, something kind of came back where it's like 2-minute drill. And Tony Romo even said, he's like, I'm not betting against this guy. He has 2 minutes. He's going to drive down and fucking score.
And they hadn't done very much impressively all game.
Yeah.
But you saw that 2 minutes and you're like,
and
they're still in it. They have a 10% chance to win. All right, let's do it.
The Bucs defense are still great. They're missing 2 or 3 key players, but they held the Rams to, 6? Or whatever, how many points they had. Like, the defense was still great.
The Rams had 13 points.
13.
Yeah.
And the Bucs defense has been just about the only thing that has kept them in any games this season.
To be first place in the NFC, their division.
Yeah,
but
it's not a very
It's
impressive
very, I mean, you can go back and listen to last week. We had a very similar conversation where you were coming at the point, Miguel, of you were saying you were concerned that either of them had, like any drive or any want left. Obviously, they have the skill. They're 2 of the greatest of all time. And we kind of had agreed that, Tom Brady still has a little bit of skill around him. I think he can actually make a push for it, but I feel like Aaron is going to be the one who gives up, and I think this week perfectly showed that. Like, there's still that drive and that fire in Tom to win games. He knows that if he can push through these next few games, get his guys healthy again, and they can make a run to the playoffs, where it seems like Aaron Rodgers is way more accepting of the fact that it's like, all right, whatever, we suck.
He's looking, like, Rodgers is looking around him like, what's going to get me fired up? I don't have anyone to throw to. Yeah, Lazard was back, but then, like, that Watson kid keeps getting hurt every catch, and it's like, I don't have anyone.
But that's the difference.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers is looking for outside sources to find motivation, where Tom Brady's just like, all right, it doesn't matter who's around me or who's on the field. We just got to make it fucking happen.
Yeah. Looking at this upcoming week, there's not a ton of marquee matchups. I think that probably the best one on the slate would be Vikings versus Bills, but I guess it remains to be seen what's going to happen there with the health of Josh Allen.
That spread is a little surprising to me. 7.5 for the Bills with the 1-loss Vikings. I felt that
is it prime time?
No, it's on the early window, and it's Bills at home. So Viking, but
the
home
home
playing in
field
Buffalo
makes
sense.
a little bit more sense.
Yeah,
I feel like the Browns Dolphins game is going to be interesting.
It could be, depending on what we get out of the Browns. The Browns
Which
seem to
Browns
be kind of
team?
tough.
Yeah, greatness, hopefully.
But then, you kind of see, like,
Fucking greatness.
could the Lions-Bears be good just because of where each team is at?
I think that's going to be a fun game.
Right?
It's going to be a dirty game. It's not going to be clean or well put together, but I think it's going to be fun to watch.
It's like, could the Cardinals and Rams game be a train wreck? Could the Seahawks and Bucks game be competitive?
Well,
the Colts-Raiders game, which is just two flailing franchises right now. Which who knows what's going to happen with the Raiders? Apparently, there's a big old story coming down from TMZ that's going to
they're big stories?
Yeah.
Dig picks. Dig picks.
According to Vegas, they're putting out odds of who the Eagles' first loss will be to, and the favorite right now is their opponent on Sunday.
The Commanders.
The Commanders. They're like plus
Sunday
350.
night or Monday Night Football.
Monday night.
To give them their first loss.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen either.
Taylor Heineke, ever heard of him?
Yeah, if you're an Eagles fan, this will get you rocked up. And if you're not an Eagles fan, it'll just make you like this guy even more if you didn't already. But they had Jalen Hurts on a post-game interview, and they were talking to him about being undefeated. And he just answered it with just the most gangsta motherfucking look, like sitting there, and he goes, "I've been undefeated before, and we didn't win the championship. This means nothing."
Yeah,
I was like, "Oh boy, if you're an Eagles fan, I tell you what,
that sounds like straight out.
That's a big go Birds.
Yeah,
I tell you what,
big go Birds.
That looks like it's straight out of Nick Saban's notebook. There,
you just got the entire city of Philadelphia to fucking rock with you."
And honestly, we've talked about this in weeks past. This Bills-Eagles Super Bowl is looking more and more likely, and holy shit. Could you think, I mean, obviously, looking in hindsight, we've had some good Super Bowls, but pre-matchup hype, I don't think there would be anything like this.
I would love nothing more than a Bills-Eagles Super Bowl just for betting purposes.
Oh.
I mean, the props on that fucking game, it would be a 24-leg parlay of just anytime touchdowns.
Well, and I think it would be a pick'em.
Where's Super Bowl?
Arizona.
Is it in Arizona this year?
No, it's SoFi.
No, is it in?
I think
Minnesota?
No, I think it's Arizona. I think you're right. I think it's in Arizona.
I think it is in Arizona.
One moment.
If it is in Arizona, that is the perfect place.
Yeah,
because
it's in Arizona.
Yeah,
like I said.
So then you're
That's
taking
an away game.
You're taking
for both of them.
You're taking a sunny, neutral place with two teams from the Northeast that's used to playing in the cold, and it's as neutral as it gets.
Yeah.
It's about an even playing field for both
so
of
they
them.
can air it out. They can the full playbook.
Boy.
The full playbook is open. Oh God, I hope that's the case.
Should we go hang out in Arizona for the Super Bowl?
I've been last Super Bowl in Arizona. I was still living there, and having a Super Bowl in your town is fucking nuts. It was nuts. I couldn't get in anywhere because I didn't have money. But
yeah,
there was a club called Mist in Scottsdale. I don't remember who played in that Super Bowl.
It was the
Giants, Patriots? Was it
maybe.
Giants? The last Arizona one. Was it Giants, Patriots?
I feel like Kurt Warner was because that was Arizona. He was on the Cardinals. And he lost to the Steelers.
I think it was Giants, Pats.
Wasn't it Seahawks and Patriots? Was
you're the one who's looking it up.
No, further back. I wasn't in Arizona then.
Oh, okay. So not 2015.
No. This is before 2010.
Oh, well,
Are you? Was it Arizona, Pittsburgh? And they
the
lost.
Santonio Holmes or the catch?
Yeah. Was that it?
Arizona played in their home?
Because people have played in their hometown before, but nobody's won until L.A. Rams did it last year.
Was it? It's got to be 07.
No, Bucks did it.
07, 08, 09, or 10. One of those.
All right. Well, we can look it up later.
But either way.
I can't see. I have no glasses.
Lift it up.
Oh, my God. It's a different world.
Yeah.
Either way, there was a club in Scottsdale called Mist at the time, I think. I don't know if it still exists or if that was the name. But we were just peeking in, and it was like a club where like Diddy was throwing a party and had all these celebrities, because a bunch of celebrities would obviously flock in a Super Bowl town. But it was wild.
Well, there you go. 2008 was one, I think. Fuck it. Like, let's move on. I'm not going to do this anymore. I can't see. I don't want to do this. Just punish me, all right?
You were right. It was the Giants versus the Patriots.
2008?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Thanks for spending 5 minutes on that.
that took me one search.
You can see. Just punish me the rest of the way.
Well, it's honestly not that bad. I think we're just all going to enjoy a beer together and then finish the show.
This. That is rather terrifying.
It is.
And you can't see the eyes as well as yeah, it's like, am I wearing? Yes, I am wearing glasses. It's been a weird experience for me.
So I think we can agree that wearing that mask was not much of a punishment.
No.
It's more funny thing.
It was uncomfortable. It was semi humiliating. So what's the actual
whatever. You love Skip.
You do love Skip. You are Skip.
So for your actual punishment, we got the help of my resident beer guy from work.
Oh, the beer guy.
Shout out to Hops and Brews. Follow him on YouTube.
And Mr. Pickle Beer.
Mr. Pickle Beer. So he provided me with the first edition Henry Weinhardt Private Reserve. This beer was brewed in 1977, and it was released to the public on my birthday in 1978.
This beer is 50 years old?
It's 50 years old. And
do you know if it's going to explode on you?
No, I also don't know what it tastes like. All I was told is it'd be
It didn't even snap. There was no fizz on it.
It'd be great punishment beer. As your punishment, you drink this whole thing.
Okay.
This is not a sip. So enjoy.
It's not even cold.
It's not.
Thank you.
Yep.
Do you want to get a paper bag or something just in case?
I think it'll be fine.
So this is a. Let me look at this again.
Shout out Hops and Brews, Instagram and YouTube. Follow them.
Is it and or in?
And letter N. Hops,
Letter N,
Hops, letter N, BREWS.
They don't make labels like this. This is a pretty label. It's nice.
That's a old fucking beer. That's a first edition, man.
Yeah, it didn't even have carbonation at that point. So, cheers.
Cheers.
Give us a good Guy Fieri breakdown once you try it.
Immediately, I'm going to say this. It has a kind of like a chocolatey smell to it. All right.
Good luck.
Good luck.
There's no fizz whatsoever. And it had no taste immediately. But it is now almost tastes like a alcoholic chocolate lollipop.
God damn it.
But that was after the first sip. So we have about 12 more ounces to go.
If Hops and Brews fucked us.
A chocolate lollipop?
It's a fucking treat? Is this a treat?
He's guzzling that.
It's supposed to be a punishment.
He is enjoying every
We
sip.
we done fucked up.
Delete the episode.
Lord Shubin from Hops and Brews.
I tried to. Listen, it might not.
You know what he told me it was going to taste like?
What do you think it was going to
Dishwater.
Dirty dishwater.
Oh. Now that he says it.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you can't backtrack now, Bader.
But no, I mean, it tastes, it's like It's like a hint beer. You know, it's like if it were a hint water.
Like a LaCroix.
It's a beer flavored LaCroix.
Yeah. Do you want to try it?
No,
Try
I
it.
don't.
Just try it.
No.
Honestly.
No.
I can't wait till you lose again. I feel like we failed punishing you here.
And it's been so long.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's kind of interesting when you think about it. And it's like I am drinking like 50-year-old water, which is kind of weird.
But we just gave you a treat.
Yeah.
Glad I had that skip mask. At least make up for it.
Do you think he really believes that this is his punishment?
I mean,
is it not my punishment?
I mean, are you enjoying it?
What is it actually? Is
You're
it
such
piss?
If you were a better actor, we would have ended it here. But you did not do a good job.
Oh. Did you piss in this?
No.
Yes.
What did you actually do to this?
Finish it.
Oh, God.
We're just
Is
saying.
it toilet water? What is it?
There's nothing. It is a 50-year-old beer. It's nothing.
Yeah.
However,
Yeah.
the plan was if you had done. Basically, if that beer ruined you, it'd be over.
Okay.
But it didn't. It was a treat. So we're going to move on to the final phase of the
Okay,
punishment.
well, I wouldn't call it a treat, but it just was not.
I mean, you guzzled that motherfucker down
You
like it was
told me
Kool-Aid.
I had to. Now, it could, like, shoot through me.
Well, you can't.
There's no.
Okay,
can-
do it
go
quickly
back
because
now.
we have about 5 minutes left on our record.
The final phase of your punishment is you're going to stand in front of this table, pull your pants down, and we each get a smack on either cheek. We get to smack your ass. He gets the right cheek, and I get the left cheek as hard as we can.
Full ass out,
Yeah.
facing the camera.
Yes, sir.
Well, we have to blur it.
Why? I didn't blur my ass.
You weren't on YouTube at the time.
Wait a second. We did not discuss this.
Oh, now
me
you're going to
alone.
backtrack?
I mean, we're gonna bend over.
You're
and
gonna bend me
spank him?
over and spank me.
I feel like we should have consulted.
All right, fine. We'll just end it. You're good.
No,
Well-
honestly, this gives me just more.
Fire to
Yeah.
punish you next time.
I hope you know that we will make sure you feel the wrath.
If this runs through me the same way, like I mean, if this
Who
gives me the
cares?
runs,
That does nothing for us.
Yeah, it's true.
Nor the listeners, the viewers, the people.
Now, if you die, it's a
IJ
different
I know,
story.
yeah. I know.
IJMSers get nothing.
Exactly. Well, we're blinking, so we gotta go.
Well, clear eyes.
Full hearts and stomach at this point.
Get loose.